We see some random characters amidst the voice of a male narrator describing the newfound voyage these people on the shuttlecrafts will be taking, eventually going to this giant spaceship. We then get an opening crawl of the Mass Effect Discovery, but no mention of the Reaper threat, which the series is known for, which logically implies that the story isn't a continuation, and is either happening before the events of Mass Effect 3, or is an alternate timeline. We then get the largest BioWare timeskip in all of their games, 634 years. And this is the human ship Hyperion of 20,000 people. This brings up one question. How did they develop the technology to travel that far, that quickly? If you're new to the series, the opening crawl would suffice. There's something called the Mass Effect that allows for interstellar travel at some fast speeds. You don't know any of the details, and that's just okay. If you're a fan of the series, the opening crawl wouldn't suffice. How do they travel that fast? How do they maintain their speed without discharging their static electrical charge and not blowing up their ship? And how do they then dump that charge in the middle of space between galaxies, and when we know it needs a port or a planet with a strong magnetic field? How did they keep powering their vehicle? How did they grow food? How many generations of people have lived so far? And a dozen other questions. If you're aware of the marketing material found on the website and videos, you'd have learned about the Odyssey drive and how FTL can be maintained and the static electrical discharge from the Mass Effect is converted into electricity used to power the ship's systems. No major explanation where this technology came from, who was developing it, and why it wasn't mentioned in the third game. Supplementary material also tells us about people being in cryosleep, with magical Mass Effect technology correcting the current problems of cryostasis, so at least that's something. However, already the narrative is broken. If a narrative requires supplementary material to explain itself, it has already failed. You either tell one story properly using only itself, which is the mark of a normal coherent story, or you find a writer who can do that for you. This is not even 2 minutes past the opening cinematic, and already the premise is weak to broken, and the plot and its science fiction elements are unexplained in a minimal, sufficient manner.
Ryder, Scott, Recon Specialist, Pathfinder Mission Team.
Pathfinder team, eh? The ones finding us a home.
Okay, so we're part of the Pathfinder team. Either this technician is being facetious, or he seriously didn't even know whom he's reviving and is learning about our profile right now, or this is all automated and he's just doing his job. This will be a rather contentious point later on in the story. We're then given a medical bay Jumbotron travel guide advertising thing, as if anyone going on this voyage didn't already know this stuff, thus it's used just to tell the audience.
The selection process saw the Andromeda Initiative evaluate thousands of potential habitable planets within the galaxy.
What exactly was the selection process, and how can you evaluate entire planets that were galaxies away? Where did you get this data, and how can it be accurate when any information from said galaxy is millions of years old? This is barely shown in supplementary material in the Golden Worlds briefing video, where an extremely tiny font tells us the story of the Geth who magically combine the 3 mass relays, which are quantum locked at the subatomic level, meaning you can't interact with them, let alone MacGyver them into a makeshift super powerful telescope, to somehow get updated info on the Andromeda Galaxy and the potential planets there. That's like using the Hubble Space Telescope to find the head of a needle on the head of a microscopic needle in a needle haystack in another solar system elsewhere. So instead of the data being millions of years old, it's now only 634 years old, or something a lot less. This is one of the worst ways of trying to understand this, especially where the scientist in question can't seem to figure out the difference between water and ice.
The Nexus requires vast quantities of helium-3, water, ice, and element 0 to continue functioning.
Additionally, there's no mention of why the Nexus and the new yet not even half-finished space station we also sent along with us, as revealed in the supplementary material, needs element 0 to operate. Element 0 simply exists and releases dark energy. There's no mention of EZO being exhausted or used up whenever the Mass Effect is generated. And instead of using the Geth telescope and learning how to use it in hopes of traveling to Andromeda, which would be as quickly as they were able to send and receive data, we just use the old-fashioned method of building a giant boat and traveling at normal FTL speeds. It's as if the writers of supplementary material were asked to fill in the blank spots, but not realizing how in the process they ended up creating even more holes in the plot as well as the premise. So already we have a number of major holes in the setup of the story, and some require supplementary material for us to fill in those holes, which ends up generating more holes. We then for some reason have an Asari doctor, even though this arc was specifically designed to be a human cryostasis ship, which contradicts the lore of having entire ships dedicated to one species, since it's told but not explained to us, once again in supplementary material, that it's technologically easier to have one species on one ship for their specific frozen needs. I don't know how or why that's even a thing, since you're a popsicle, and popsicles just need electricity for refrigeration or keeping dry ice sealed. But okay, sci-fi, magic technology, let's make exceptions for the Asari doctor. We then learn about some sort of talking implant in our brain, which to the Mass Effect fan who knows his lore, if this is in fact an AI, it has been outlawed by the Council, but apparently that's not a big deal for the Andromeda Initiative, despite the first game all being about the war with the Geth, in the second game where they blame the attack of the Citadel on the Geth. Was the Andromeda Initiative building its ships and technology in secret this entire time? Suddenly, the Hyperion rams into some space object, the medbay loses artificial gravity, and we just levitate instead of smacking our heads into the ceiling. Yay, physics. Chalk up to the mystical power of Mass Effect when it's turned off. I really don't know.
Sarah's fine. Her vitals are strong, but the revival procedure was interrupted.
And why is the revival procedure different than the one we just had? Why did you wheel her pod all the way into the medbay when you could have just revived her where we were revived? What's the story here? Or did they simply not have enough level design to show the sleeping pod chamber and instead wanted to give the player the option to run over to your sister's pod or just keep going?
Hey, up here! Whatever hit the arc fried everything. We have to balance the power load or it could explode.
Okay, so maybe Miss Engineer shouldn't be standing on the explosive doohickey. Also, you sound like you know what you're talking about and somehow know what's going on instantly. I'm a guy with a gun who walks around planets and talks to people, and I just woke up. So, good luck with that?
But we don't know where the fault is!
So, find it?
Ryder could find it. He has a scanner. Quick, Ryder, use it to locate the vault.
And you're trying to tell me engineers do not have a diagnostic tool like a scanner, who apparently know exactly what's going on nearly instantly, don't have one, or aren't better suited to solving this problem than me?
Found it! Bad relay. Ryder, can you go reset it?
Again, why aren't you doing this? I just gave you the answer. Apparently I'm the only one with a scanner. This is like talking to Miles O'Brien, who doesn't bother to have a tricorder, but he has no problems explaining how to fix the problem, but he can't just walk over to the bloody console and push a button. Nope, we gotta do it.
I wish I was on this trip with someone else. That's what I wish.
This is actually a perfect tutorial for showing us how you will solve every future problem in the game. So we get in the horizontal elevator, or the tram, complete with our loading screen, and go up to the bridge.
Helm control, report. We're drifting.
Yeah, you drifted right into a giant space tree. Maybe you should have come to a full stop once you exited FTL, or looked out a damn window.
Windows are structural weaknesses.
Oh, shut up, Legion. It's your fault we're even on this damn mission.
Flight controls aren't responding.
Was that before or after we rammed into the spatial object? Do you see how contrived this is all being put together? We just happened to ram into a space tree because, I don't know, our scanners weren't working. No one was bothering to pilot the ship. The computer wasn't programmed to come to a full stop or avoid physical objects in the way, which prompted the power outage that caused our sister's pod to be damaged, which was brought into medbay for some reason, where we had to fix a power relay device. Is any of this setup believable?
Mainline power's been knocked out. We're on reserves, Captain. They won't last.
And how long won't they last for? How much energy do we have left on our backups? We need details here. Give us a time limit. Give us some stakes. Give us some tension, please.
What's our position?
Unknown. We lost telemetry.
Captain, the protocol's clear. In the absence of communication with the Nexus or the other arcs, we proceed to our appointed Golden World. Solid ground.
Well, that's a great protocol, Alec. That doesn't address the current dilemma, which is trying to get main power restored. Even if we do find a habitable planet, how are we going to land the ship on it if we don't have the main power restored, and we're all going to die soon?
Pretty good. Isn't good enough.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's not find some solid ground? Fix the ship first, then?
Is that our golden world?
That's Habitat 7.
But aren't we still drifting? How are we avoiding the giant space tree anomaly? Do we have any control of the ship yet?
Sam.
The energy from the phenomenon is damping our sensors. Planetary conditions are unknown.
Oh, good. So our telemetry from our scanners is back online. It's good to know. We're just having problems with space tree over here.
We're marooned. And when the power runs out and stays out, we need to know if that's safe harbor.
Or we can stop being marooned, fix the ship, go back to FTL, and then generate some power. We've been generating electricity for the past 600 years. I'm sure after you get main power restored, an hour or two of FTL is still an option.
As Pathfinder, it'll be my job to find an alternative.
And how are you going to find an alternative if the ship is adrift?
All right, just make it quick.
Okay, so you need our help to fix the ship or not? Are the Pathfinders the only one with scanners? We're in no rush to explore anything here. We can wait. Just fix the ship, and then deal with the exploration mission. Isn't that kind of obvious? I mean, we don't want 20,000 people to die, right?
If this doesn't work out, we'll need him more than ever.
But why? If he dies or the entire Pathfinder team dies, you still have to A, fix the ship, which you should be doing right now, B, send another team down to the planet, which I guess involves conducting some sort of test to see if it's viable, which can't be done from orbit, and then C, find a new planet if you can't figure that one out. Since you're the captain, you shouldn't have any problems discovering and navigating new planets in spaceships or shuttles or otherwise, which all involves fixing the ship first, which we should have been helping with.
I need an ETA on our sensor repairs. We're blind out here.
The sensors are working fine, as Sam has stated.
The energy from the phenomenon is damping our senses. Planetary conditions are unknown.
The main problem is the space tree interfering with our scans. Do the sensors only work with Sam?
The Pathfinder is now requiring sidearms. I've opened the armaments locker.
Okay, so our armaments locker has a computer-controlled locking mechanism, and the pervasive AI in our brains has opened it for us. Not only is that unnecessary, this is sounding like a 2001 Space Odyssey story. I guess this really is a Mass Effect game where the power of AI have to be put in check.
Hope I won't need this.
You never know. Now let's get to the shuttles.
Wow, Cora has some amazing hearing skills.
Dr. Carlyle, with everything going on, I think the Ark needs you more than we do.
Pathfinder wants a medic on hand, and if that is home down there, I'm happy to knock on the door.
Wouldn't we specifically want a medic or biologist to study some plant life and other such things on a planet to determine its viability? What exactly are we trying to do down there that Cora suggests this guy be optional?
We'll be short-handed with Sarah out.
And why exactly will we be short-handed? What exactly was Sarah supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Why were we selected for this mission? What is the goal of this mission?
I chose each of you for the Pathfinder team, not just because you're talented and passionate, but because you're dreamers, like me.
And nepotism.
So, let's go make history.
Again, do what exactly? What's our mission goal here? Scan stuff, or generally just walk around, breathe the air, and explore stuff? Can you give us some guidance? A goal? A task? A general role? Something.
Been waiting 600 years for this.
Who the hell are you?